Live from Vietnam Television headquarters here in Hanoi, you're tuning into VTV News. I'm Thu Dương in Hanoi with the latest headlines. Party leader Nguyen commences his visit to Cambodia. Foreigners living here in the country to be allowed to open saving accounts. And later on, summer camp for overseas Vietnamese youth kicks off. We bring you now the top news here in our country. Party General Secretary Nguyen arrived at Phuc Airport in Cambodia's capital city of Phnom Penh this morning, beginning a state-level visit to Cambodia from July 20th to 22nd, at the invitation of King Norodom Sihamoni. The party leader and his entourage were met at the airport by Cambodian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of the Royal Palace Samdech Khonsomoy, as well as Deputy Prime Minister Min Somon and officials from the Royal Palace, the Foreign Ministry and the Cambodian People's Party. Crowds of people, including overseas Vietnamese, were also present at the airport to welcome the Vietnamese party leader. Party General Secretary Nguyen's visit, the second state-level visit to the neighboring nation by the party leader, is being made to mark the 50th anniversary of diplomatic ties between the two countries. One of its aims is to speed up the implementation of agreements signed between the two nations and to bring relations to a deeper and more sustainable level. Also in Vietnam-Cambodia relations, the Vietnam-Cambodia Parliamentarian Group and the Vietnam-Cambodia Friendship Association held a signing ceremony of cooperation on Wednesday. The respective chairmen of the groups co-hosted the event. The inter-organizational cooperation will boost the communication of policies of the state and party in foreign relations, as well as its relations with Cambodia. Activities will include promoting cooperation and the formation of fraternity between localities of Vietnam and of Cambodia, as well as the exchange of information of Vietnamese people living in Cambodia. The two sides also plan to construct community houses for families living in disadvantageous conditions, families of veterans and martyrs, as well as of those with contributions to the two countries' bilateral ties. The Communist Party of Vietnam General Secretary Nguyen, as we said, is on an official state visit to Cambodia at the invitation of the King of Cambodia, Norodom Sihamoni. Now, this visit bears great historical significance as the two nations celebrate the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations. The following report quickly recaps the relationship.
The assistance provided by volunteer Vietnamese military forces in the liberation of Cambodia from Pol Pot's genocidal regime is an obvious milestone in the 50-year-strong friendship between Cambodia and Vietnam. Thousands of Vietnamese troops crossed the border to fight to liberate Cambodia, following the call of Hun Sen, who is now the current Cambodian Prime Minister. 40 years later, the Cambodian leader returned to Vietnam to speak on behalf of the Cambodian people and government.
Vietnam had to pay a hefty price to liberate Cambodia and her people. The Vietnamese gave their lives, their military strength, wealth, political reputation, and diplomatic popularity. We will never forget that Vietnam also had to endure sanctions to come to our aid.
The historical bond created the foundation for the prospering economic ties between the two nations. Vietnam now has around 200 investment projects in Cambodia, with total estimated capital of $3 billion. Bilateral trade turnover reached $3 billion and is likely to soon top $5 billion. The Cambodian government highly value economic ties with Vietnam. Vietnamese investment projects in aviation and finance have greatly benefited Cambodian businesses.
The party leaders' visit will be a great opportunity for the two peoples to look back at the achievements and significance of the 50 years of friendship. It will open up many more collaborative opportunities in all fields.
Cambodian and Vietnamese leaders both share the belief that the bond over the past half-century is an invaluable gift. This promises to enrich the diplomatic relations between Cambodia and Vietnam and set the stage for its further development.
A ceremony took place at the Thanh border gate to officially inaugurate the truck passage between Cambodia and Vietnam. Vietnamese Deputy Prime Minister Trịnh Đình Dũng and his Cambodian counterpart Thay Kim Nhan attended this event. The new border gate route promises to reduce transportation costs and processing time for road freight. This is intended to facilitate cross-border trade and boost economic collaboration between the two countries. In the past few years, Guangdong province of China has always been one of China's leading localities for economic and trade cooperation with Vietnam. In order to further facilitate business contacts and seek investment opportunities, the Vietnam, Guangdong and Hong Kong-China Business Forum was held in Hanoi on Wednesday. The event attracted nearly 300 delegates, including government and business leaders from 12 provinces and cities of Vietnam, as well as from Guangdong and Hong Kong of China.
Nguyễn Thành Công owns an IT company. His company is outsourcing to some major software companies around the world through a contract for a software company based in Singapore. He hopes to find the same opportunity with businesses from Hong Kong and Guangdong.
Hong Kong is one of the places where multinational corporations are based. So we want to find an opportunity in the global supply chain of the information industry.
Guangdong and Vietnam are considered complementary in terms of trade cooperation. Guangdong has strength in high technology, manufacturing and clean energy, all of which are in line with Vietnam's need in the development process. At the same time, the province also needs a large amount of farm produce when it produces only about 10 million tons of food compared to its demand for about 45 million tons per year. This is an opportunity for agricultural products and seafood, which are the strengths of Vietnam.
In order to effectively cooperate between the two sides, the governments should create favourable conditions for the enterprises, and at the same time, businesses must take the initiative in cooperating, and it is important to follow the market's rules.
Guangdong province trade is over $1 trillion, while trade between Vietnam and Guangdong last year was about $17 billion, which account for only a few percent of Guangdong's import-export turnover, so the potential is huge.
Up to last December, 92 Guangdong firms has registered business in Vietnam. In 2016, two-way trade between Guangdong and Vietnam reached $17 billion, up 2.9% from 2015. With the potential for cooperation between the two sides, these figures are expected to continue increasing in the coming time.
The expense in high-tech agriculture investment in Vietnam is higher compared to other countries due to high VAT tax. According to several experts, aside from promoting access to credit loans, reducing tax on high-tech facility imports is key to promoting the development of high-tech agriculture here in Vietnam.
This farm applies high technology in all of its processes, from greenhouse facilities to hydroponic cultivation systems to an automatic temperature control system. All of these high-tech devices are imported with a tax rate of 15 to 20%.
If a greenhouse costs $100,000, enterprises must pay 30% of this amount for VAT. Not many enterprises can afford this high tax. Access to credit loans is also limited.
To seek out solutions for this issue, last year, the Prime Minister issued Decision 1528 on specific mechanisms and policies for the development of Dalat and its neighboring areas. One of the directives of this policy is that those investing in Dalat will be exempted from import tax on materials and equipment for greenhouse building. This mechanism contributes to reducing the cost of high-tech agricultural investments.
Enterprises importing materials that are unavailable domestically are exempted from taxes with the support of the Ministry of Planning and Investment and the Customs General Department.
However, according to experts, this has not completely solved the issue of high investment in high-tech agriculture. Domestic enterprises hesitate to invest in high-tech agriculture because they are afraid that demand is not big enough for their investment.
Several domestic enterprises are learning and adapting new technology abroad. In the coming time, domestic enterprises aim to build their own high-tech agricultural facilities. Hopefully, they will not depend on imports once they can produce their own products.
Investment in high-tech agriculture has been planned in many localities. The main task of the agriculture sector now is to reduce the cost of investing in this sector so that farmers can gain more access to high-tech agriculture.
The state audit has criticized the haphazard approach to public debt management between the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Planning and Investment, and the State Bank of Vietnam. The state audit made the comment at a meeting with the National Assembly's Finance and Budget Committee on Wednesday, which was discussing the draft law on public debt management. The state audit suggested that the Ministry of Finance take the lead in matters of public debt, while other agencies will play a coordinating role. The state audit agreed with the definition of the public debt, which doesn't include the debts held by state-owned enterprises. However, the failure to repay foreign debts of state-owned enterprises may affect the country's credit grade. The state audit proposed to have more regulations on risk assessment, supervision, and national debt safety. Recently, the State Bank of Vietnam issued a draft law that would allow foreigners living here in Vietnam to open up saving accounts in Vietnamese dong or other foreign currencies in local credit institutions. This signals a positive change because the amendment on the Foreign Exchange Act 2013, which does not allow foreigners to open such saving accounts in the country, has caused difficulties for many foreigners in dealing with their earnings in Vietnam.
Brandon Hurley has been working in Vietnam for over 2 years. With current regulations, he often has to transfer his income back to his US bank accounts and then use his US card to spend on travel and shoppings.
I think it's good. I think it opens the door for more tourists, more residents perhaps, more foreign residents to come and live here because it makes life here easier.
Not just Brandon, but many foreigners in Vietnam have had to transfer their income to their home country's banks. This causes inefficiency and waste because while the money is generated in Vietnam, it cannot be reinvested into the country's economy.
If we follow the state bank's new regulations, this amount of money will be kept inside Vietnam's borders and belongs to the supply of the Vietnamese market. So we'll have more opportunities to raise capital more efficiently.
This new provision not only adds foreign currency credit to the banking system, but also allows foreigners to add a portion of interest from their savings when foreign currency is transferred to Vietnamese dong.
Interest rates in Vietnamese dong are rather high, ranging from 5% to 8.5%, depending on each term. When foreigners transfer their income, there'll be a significant increase in Vietnamese dong liquidity, which is good for our national credit growth target of over 18% this year.
According to a recent HSBC survey, the average income of professional foreign laborers in Vietnam is more than $100,000 per year, while the global average is $97,000. In fact, several experts say that the income foreigners earn in Vietnam is sometimes more than double the amount they earn in their homeland. For this reason, providing them with opportunities to save is a good way to attract foreigners to stay and work in Vietnam.
In the following, we'll take a look at your updated foreign exchange rates. In the next part of our VTV News Live, the Ministry of Transport has chosen a design for the Long Thanh Airport Terminal. And later on, we'll discover more about the summer camp for overseas Vietnamese youth that is kicked off in Ho Chi Minh City. You're back here in our live edition of VTV News. A lotus-themed design has been selected for the construction of Long Thanh International Airport, which will be located just 50 kilometers from Tân Sơn Nhất International Airport in Ho Chi Minh City. The chosen design beat out two other designs entitled Coconut Water Leaves and Bamboo Material and was selected by 26 experts from the consulting team. The Airports Corporation of Vietnam has proposed the Ministry of Transport put the lotus-themed design into bidding documents for consultation and to create a feasibility report. This morning, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development held a conference to discuss sustainable forest development in the period from 2016 to 2020. The conference was also an opportunity for the ministry to publish the results of forest management, thus creating an important basis for forest protection and development. Deputy Prime Minister Trịnh Đình Dũng attended this event.
For the first time ever, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development were able to release the most detailed and accurate report of the forest inventory. According to the report, since 2016, forest area of the country is nearly 14.4 million hectares. The coverage ratio is over 41%, and the volume of timber is nearly 1.2 million cubic meters. These results have shown that in the past 5 years, while the area of planted forest has increased by more than 1 million hectares, the area of natural forest has decreased more than 62,000 hectares due to several reasons.
We use technology in forest management. For example, we are applying forest management software that can update changes in the total area of forest every hour. If 5 hectares of forest in a province is destroyed by bushfire, the software immediately updates this information.
A question that has been raised over the years is how to effectively protect and develop natural forest in different localities. One issue is the conflict between forest development and economic development for people living near the forest.
We have to protect our planted forest. If we grow and chop down the planted trees every 7 years, we will never be able to recover the area of forest that has been lost. We should also make sure that we don't exploit valuable herbs and plants that grow inside the forest.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has set a goal that by 2020, the total value of timber exports will be $8 to $8.5 billion, and the forest coverage ratio will be 42%.
Around 150 delegates from around the world participated in the International Conference on University 4.0, which kicked off on Thursday morning in Ho Chi Minh City. The event tackles the topic of how universities will be affected by the Fourth Industrial Revolution and how the delivery of education would be transformed in order to keep up with this revolution. The event attracted international scholars and researchers from countries across Asia, as well as from France, Germany, Poland, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Questions up for discussion include what skills and knowledge University 4.0 should equip future generations with, and how should University 4.0 change its learning strategy, which include how to design curriculums, teaching methods, and assessments, among other questions. Now, it is attributed to the application of biological technology that Vietnam has been able to manufacture 11 vaccines for use here in the country. Vietnam's technological advances in biology has also allowed the country to produce functional food as well as develop treatment methods for cancer and hematologic disease, among others. We'll find out now more about the benefits of biological application in the following report.
Do Văn Cường is going to the National Institute of Hematology and Blood Transfusion today for a health checkup. Over a year ago, he was diagnosed with the bone marrow disease, but thanks to stem cell treatment, he is much better now.
After the treatment, I can exercise regularly as before, such as going to the gym.
Vietnam has no medicines to cure these diseases. The only choice is to use stem cell transplant. 15 months after the transplant, the patient's condition completely recovers and no more medicines are required.
The National Institute of Hematology and Blood Transfusion now has a stem cell bank to use for disease treatment. Strong stem cells can develop into complete cells to replace the diseased cells of patients. There are currently 20 health facilities in Vietnam that utilize stem cells in treatment.
Thousands of patients have blood cancer, but the chemotherapy is only used to prolong the life of patients. Only stem cell technology can cure cancer. That is why we must do our best to develop the technology.
So far, 500 stem cell transplants have been successful. However, stem cell transplant is just one of the many applications being used in biological technology in the health sector. Other products involving the technology include vaccines, medicines, and functional food.
The Dan Lai ethnic group is one of the smallest of Vietnam's 54 ethnic groups, with a population of only over 3,000 people, living scattered across 5 communes of Con Cuông district in the northern central province of Nguyen. In order to sustainably ensure the development of this ethnic group, the National Fund for Vietnamese Children provided free health checks and medicines to all Dan Lai children under 16 years of age. This is part of the government's project to strengthen children's health and promote the lives of this small ethnic group.
La Thị Bốn is only 22 years old, but she is the mother of 3 children. In these areas, motherhood comes early. The old custom of young marriage and intermarriage still exists, affecting the health and conditions of Dan Lai ethnic group children. One of the most serious illnesses due to a lack of new blood in the family lines is thalassemia.
Since they are clustered near Phuc, a national park, marriages among close relatives and underage marriages often happen. According to the National Institute of Hematology and Blood Transfusion, 50% of children here have the possibility of getting thalassemia. If we don't examine and treat the affected children, it could have a great impact on the development of this community.
Testing for thalassemia, examining for eye defects, cleft palate, and especially congenital heart disease. This is the most thorough medical examination and treatment the Dan Lai ethnic children have ever experienced.
We have brought the echocardiogram machine to test for congenital heart diseases and heart diseases. We brought machines here from Da Nang. This is a modern machine that can perform an ultrasound on all the Dan Lai children in order to find and treat congenital heart diseases.
The district have undertaken a variety of activities such as giving out free medicine, but it was at a basic level and not really targeted. These examinations were very thorough and the doctors can diagnose illnesses.
Existing illnesses during the examination will be treated as soon as possible. This is one of the first activities of the National Fund for Vietnamese Children. Each Đan Lai child will have health records, and they will be monitored over the 10 years of the project.
A youth gala for the armies of Vietnam and Laos was recently held in Điện Biên province. The event marked 55 years since the establishment of Vietnam-Laos diplomatic relations and 40 years since the signing of the Vietnam-Laos Treaty of Amity and Cooperation. The program included songs celebrating the long-standing history of Vietnam and Laos and important milestones in their relations, such as the Điện Biên liberation, the Vietnam-Laos friendship, and the Hanoi-Vientiane relations. Overseas Vietnamese youth are gathering once again for the annual Vietnam Summer Camp. The camp's opening ceremony took place last night at the Ho Chi Minh City Youth Center and kicked off a series of activities across Vietnam. The annual camp is a chance for 100 Vietnamese youths from 25 countries to explore Vietnam, its culture and traditions.
100 youngsters of Vietnamese descent sang together at the opening ceremony of Vietnam Summer Camp 2017. Although coming from more than 25 countries, they have quickly become friends.
I practiced for 1 hour. I was very shy and afraid of failing, but with the help of my friends, I became more confident.
All the participants are very friendly. I feel very connected and close to them.
The event was also an opportunity for the younger generations of overseas Vietnamese to reflect on their diverse backgrounds. The biggest delegation came from the Czech Republic, Germany, Laos, Russia, Ukraine, and the US.
After the summer camp this year, I hope to learn more about Vietnam, the country where my mother came from. I hope to understand more about my roots.
We hope that the next generations of overseas Vietnamese will understand more about Vietnam and feel encouraged to know they are Vietnamese while living and working abroad.
The group will set off to learn about the river lifestyle of the Mekong Delta and the history of the area. The summer camp will last until July the 31st.
We now take a look at your updated weather forecasts. And we'll be back again at 6 p.m. for another updated bulletin. In the meantime, you can log on to our website at vtv4.vn or our YouTube channel at VTV4Go to rewatch any of our bulletins. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you more again in a bit.